The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning, I'm Nico Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
Because we want to regain our natural health, our rights, and our freedoms. And I'm Paige Clarke. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater, 48 degrees. We got a cold front. I thought spring was here.
I know. Well,
Yeah,
we
it's
had a
good.
little bit of a snap, and we won't be upset about that because we'll have plenty of hot weather to come.
Yes, for
You know, if
sure.
you all have any questions, feel free to contact me at Paige@TFNN.com.
And Nico at TFNN.com. And we are also taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648. Of course, if you have any suggestions for the show, we want you to call in, let us know, or give us a email or something like that.
Well, you know, we missed you for missed everyone for our show because Nico was out making us proud again.
Yeah, we went to the competition, the Pan Ams. I
The
got
Pan Ams for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Nico is ranked.
I was ranked like 22nd or something like that, which is pretty cool. But
That's fantastic,
I haven't been
Nico.
fighting much this year, so I got a bronze medal. We had a team of about 16 people that went, and Eduardo de Lima, who's our leader, got a silver.
Fantastic.
Watching him was amazing because his second fight, we have been working for 3 months on this deep path entry to the fight. And all the moves that go along with it, and we have counter moves and things like that. And he displayed on that second fight all those moves that he was showing us. It was really remarkable to see it. These are the things that we attempt to do. You know, and he actually goes out there and imposes himself on these people and does all these things. It's just amazing. It was a great time. It's always wonderful to spend time with a bunch of guys and a couple of girls too, and just hang out. And I had about 4 or 5 days before I got out there on Wednesday.
Yeah, where was it?
I was in Irving, California,
Okay.
at the University of California at the Irving location, which is a beautiful facility.
It is, yes. That whole city is very clean, very
I was staying.
techy.
Yeah, I was staying in Huntington Beach, which is just fabulous, right on the ocean there, and that was really nice. I was in the same hotel as a friend of mine, Doc, who also competed. He was a senior 5. I was in senior 6. And he got a bronze medal also. It's only the second time he competed. This is my 5th time. So I'm getting a little bit more of being the veteran feel, even though I'm very young in the game. I have a picture here of us on the podium.
Oh, that's a nice picture.
And
Whoa.
this is the guy I fought
Those are
here.
some handsome guys. Look at that.
This guy is 56, this guy's 56, I was 71, and he was 65. The unfortunate part of this whole thing, I was fighting this guy, and he was fighting this guy. So the youngest guys were fighting the oldest guys.
Receiving incoming transmission.
Wow.
I'll turn this off here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you'd never know, though. Look at that. You guys.
Well, the thing is I think they should, in our division, people 1960, born in 1960 or before, can enter. So we've got about 14 years difference between us and the younger guys. And I think they should take these 2 guys and have them fight each other, and then we have a chance for the silver. Where this guy has got 3 stripes, so he's been a black belt for at least 11, maybe 15 years.
Right.
I've been a black belt for 3 years. He's just became a black belt, I think. I really don't know about this guy. He was very technical, too. These are all really experienced people, where I think Rick and I weren't quite as experienced, but we had a lot of fun, and we really go for the companionship. And, I really want to win this one day, so I'm going to keep coming back.
Well, you just keep doing it,
But,
making us proud, Nico. We
But
are
the
really
nice
proud
thing,
of
too,
you.
I was the oldest guy in the whole competition.
I
too.
know, but you
So,
don't look it.
Yeah,
And I'm sure you don't move like it. I mean, and that's what living a primal lifestyle is about.
This guy was brutal. When he had his hands on me and he pulled me off my feet. I mean, I was going, wow! It was really quite an experience. But, traveling gives you...
But this is such a respectful sport.
Yes,
That's what I was so amazed of. I don't think many people are aware of it. But from what I've learned from you, it really is a sport that's based on non-aggression, defense, and respect.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So I was pretty... I actually met somebody this weekend. I was at a conference for this biomedical device that I'll be sharing later. And I'll have to get his name, but he's in Sarasota, and he's a champion.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a little younger guy, but he had heard of you and Gracie Barra School, so that was interesting.
Yeah. Challenging always with food, naturally. So I have my own little thing that I do with salmon and butter before the competition. And, listening, I was rooming with Jason, who's a national champion wrestler from Iowa. He really, really great guy. He won his first fight and then lost his second fight. It was just really hard competitions out there.
Sure.
And he was talking about cutting weight. What wrestlers always do. I kind of stay the same. When I got there, I was 182. The next day, I was like 172.
So do most jiu-jitsu fighters do that kind of cutting weight? That always turned me off about wrestling in high school. I thought, how can that be healthy?
It can't be. It's not healthy. And I think, what we do here, of course, is we weigh ourselves just before we go into the fight. So we're at the weight we're supposed to be, and my cutoff weight is 181.5, and I was like 177 with the gi on and everything, so I was fine. And Doc got down there too. Everybody was a little bit over in the beginning, and when we finally get the fight, we're down. So
what did Jason tell you they actually do to cut weight? What does he do to cut weight?
Well, Doc was actually a few pounds over, and he put on this sweatsuit and was just going up and down the hallways until he was at the right weight. And he was exhausted afterwards, and then he took a cold plunge. But Jason and I went into the ocean, and the ocean was 62 degrees, and we're out there.
It is cold out there.
Oh, man, it was freezing. But it's really good for you to do that, because that really impacts your immune system.
Impacts your immune system, and impacts your circulatory system and your lymph system, and those are things that are just so crucial to our health, as we'll learn more. And what's also crucial to your health is really making sure that you're getting the right nutrients.
Yeah, and then, during the trip, that's what I wanted to say is it's hard, but you have to really, I went to the local health food store and got these things that I usually do. But I see people eating junk out there, and it's hard to perform under those things. But we had some really, really nice meals. The last night, Doc and I went to this restaurant, I forget the name, Mastro's or something like that, and he had this steak. It cost over $100. It was just like one of these marbled steaks from New Zealand that are the highest prize ones. And I had a little taste of it, and it was remarkable. I had a nice ribeye. Fabulous. So that was the stuff we did to kind of replenish ourselves. But
there's still a lot of people that are thinking that what they need are refined carbs and so forth for sugar. But you've really helped to coach and educate a lot of the people on your team, from what I understand.
Yeah.
They're learning, they're listening to the show.
I think so, and it is a learning process. But once you cut out the processed carbs, everything starts to click, and everything starts to fall into place.
Right.
And what happens afterwards, and everybody says, "Oh, now I can eat this, now I can eat that," and I don't have that because I always eat the same thing.
Right.
I might specialize a little bit more and have that fish and really be careful, but I'm always thinking about never eating bread and things like that. It just doesn't come in my mind anymore.
We sure are proud of you. Thanks for making us proud. So we've got to take a break, folks, but join us after the break. We're taking your phone calls, 877-927-6648. We'll be right back.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And good morning. You're listening to Living a Primal Lifestyle. I'm Paige Clarke. And Nico Haan.
Yep.
And we were just talking a little bit earlier about Nico and it being at the Pan Am Games. And Nico, one of the things you mentioned is that you eat salmon and you eat some good fatty sources of protein and fats before your competitions. And what we're seeing more and more is that people are having deficiencies in the essential fat-based nutritional vitamins.
I think is one of the number one things that is affecting our society.
In fact, I was looking at this article that talks about vitamin D deficiency. I call it SRD, solar radiation deficiency syndrome. I'm going to create my own health. I think that many of us are missing our exposure to the sun, our energy source, the central sun, which keeps us healthy. According to research, vitamin D deficiency increases the opportunity to experience Alzheimer's, and we're seeing a tremendous increase in dementia and these types of degradation.
It's epidemic levels.
And earlier ages, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And keeping an adequate level of vitamin D is crucially important. And there's three main ways, folks, that we can build our vitamin D. And that's through the sun, which is the preferable method. Mm-hmm. It's also through supplements, but they have to be the right kinds of supplements that you can use and assimilate. And one of those places is foods, of course, and fish is a great source. And I liked hearing how you use that wild salmon, one of the fishes that really will find those good sources of vitamins A and D and astaxanthin and that kind of a thing. Yeah,
and of course it's all about the fat. And with that, it has some great protein, but it has fat, and I actually use butter with it. So I'm actually eating better butter, and that really kept me fat burning. It was amazing that I would drop 3 or 4 pounds just in the morning. Just eating breakfast and then having more butter and a little salmon, and then all of a sudden the weight starts coming off.
Staying in that real ketogenic area.
Yeah, and what we wanted to do too was rest ourselves. So the best resting and recovery is walking. And of course, when you're in a place that you're normally not, sightseeing is the great thing. And in California, around Huntington Beach and Laguna and all that, great sightseeing. So we walked everywhere. Laguna is fabulous. The reason I like this article a lot because they have this great chart in here that gives you all the different vitamins and minerals that they're talking about, and then what they have here, and I have this on the telestrator, like vitamin B1.
It's probably hard for them to read it, but this
Might
is
be.
from SpectraCell, and I use this in my office to help people go through and circle symptoms and problems and then make the connection of what it is, what the actual nutrient is, and where they can find it
Where
in
you
their
can find
food,
it, the symptoms and the
what
problem.
it actually does in their body.
Yeah,
The
so
importance
this is
of
a
it.
good chart, which I'll put in the next newsletter that's coming up, I think, next Tuesday.
Yeah, next week, I think.
Yeah, so I better get busy. But yeah, this is really important, and we're living in Florida, and I'm thinking, how can people have a vitamin D deficiency in Florida? Well, it's not just about the sun, but it is about the sun in the sense that we're hiding from the sun constantly.
I think that we've been misinformed that the sun is inherently dangerous to us, and what we want to say is not intelligent sunning would be bad for us, where we're burning and frying our skin.
Yeah, you don't want to go out in the summertime in Florida at 12 noon and sit there for 3 hours.
Yeah,
That's not
the key
way to
is
do it.
actually 12 noon is always the preferable time to be in the sun, but it's
10, 15 minutes is good.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then use natural protection if you've had too much, or shade your body partially with an umbrella or a tree and do your reading.
Yeah.
So, getting back to the idea of dementia, since we were kind of focusing on vitamin D, but folks, it's not just dementia that vitamin D is powerful for us in protecting us. Vitamin D is important in a lot of pain syndromes, and there's over 300 different diseases that vitamin D is successful in turning the gene off that causes those other diseases to express themselves. It's all about epigenetics, expressing the right version of the gene. But I'm very concerned because I feel like a lot of people are being told that their vitamin D levels are adequate, when in fact those of us that follow more functional health understand that we truly need a little higher level. So I'm not real happy unless I see levels up and above 50, 60, 70 vitamin D levels. And I want to make sure that what else comes with it. What do we always talk about? The other fat-soluble vitamin that doesn't get a lot of attention, vitamin K2. It's very important so that the balance of vitamin D is there and we get the best balance and use of vitamin D for bone health and arterial health.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the things that I read is that the calcium is not really activated unless the fat and the vitamin D are there together to help put it in.
K2, yeah, exactly. Calcium. There's minerals involved too, folks. Nutrition is a symphony. It's a symphony of vitamins and minerals. Quite frankly, it's a symphony of enzymes, food enzymes and natural enzymes. The ability to do work is what's important. Actually, the vitamins and minerals are cofactors. You can have all the vitamins and minerals in the world, and if you don't have the enzymes, there's no work going to happen. Yeah. So that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, and you really have to get it through your food. I mean, if you don't start with the food, if you're eating a fast food diet or even the SAD diet, the American so-called diet, you're probably very deficient in these things. And just by adding the vitamins in doesn't complete the whole metrics, I would say. It's, and it depends on the quality of the vitamins too, but you have to start with the food first, and then you can supplement, and then you're on the right track if you want to supplement. But, you really have to start with that food.
And I really do believe, unfortunately, that there is just not enough nutrition in our soil, and that's the reason we created Primal Edge.
Yeah.
Was because of the concern of the soil quality. Even in so-called organic foods, it's still not what it should have been. It doesn't give us that primal edge that our ancestors had because they had nutrient-rich soil.
Yeah, and that was really the number one thing that you were so adamant about, is that the soil is what's robbing us of getting these vitamins and minerals, and that's why we went on that search for that fulvic humic acid from a really great source.
You're right.
And we made that the basis of it, and
everything else is gravy, quite frankly.
Yeah.
We've got to have that nutrition from the soil. And I commend all of us. We all try our best. We buy the healthiest food we can. And the people that are really doing it are the people that are growing their own food in their backyard, where they're making their own soil with worm castings and that kind of thing, and re-nutrifying, and they know that they're rotating. Yeah. I mean, that's really where we all should be. But practicality-wise, it's just not happening.
Yeah. And did you notice, looking at the reports, we had a real surge of people getting on the Primal Edge, too, this last month or so. So really want to thank people for getting on board with the Primal Primal Edge. I know you're feeling good because you're taking it and you're telling us. So
and we
that's
do,
really important.
and we're here for you too. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know. You know, we're happy to do it. You know, when we get back, I know we got a break coming up, but I want to just introduce, because while we were on the discussion of healthy fat-soluble nutrition, vitamin D, we know vitamin D is also implicated in a condition that many people suffer from, and that's depression.
Yeah, and I think this is all linked into our society by the way we see people acting today. You know, we have a lot of violence. We have a lot of course, we're in our season of electing people, which ramps everything up. But
the tensions are...
I noticed the news this morning in Brussels. They had some bombings again, you know.
So sad.
You know, this is affecting people's brains. And I think if we straighten out the food, I think we'll find people are not going to be depressed as much. They're not going to be deficient in these things. So I think the number one thing that we always have to concentrate is our food and getting your diet straightened out and looking back into our more ancient life to find out why we were so successful then and what's happening now.
And that's what we do here, the Primal Things, which means first things first. So first we got to take a break, but we'll see you right afterwards. So we're taking your phone calls.
877-927-6648. Please give us a call.
You've heard Nico Haan as co-host of Living a Primal Lifestyle, which airs every Friday at noon Eastern Time on TFNN, and would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. Nico and Paige here on Living a Primal Lifestyle. So we're talking about how the brain is really affected by our diet. And this one you were talking about is about diet and depression risk. The association of diet and depression risk has been demonstrated in a 6-year study of 12,059 volunteers. Researchers have established that the intake of trans fat as well as saturated fat add to the risk of this depression, and that olive oil, in contrast, protects from depression.
Well, there you go again. There is always this lumping of trans fats and saturated fats together. And I think if they really analyzed it again, when we take up the receptor sites that these trans fats are occupying, when a trans fat gets into the body, it's like wrapping saran wrap. Remember when I used to give you that analogy?
Yes.
It's like wrapping saran wrap around your body. Could you breathe, your head? No, it's a plastic fat.
Right.
So when we then provide our body with healthier fats that the body knows how to deal with, which includes these, what we call MUFAs, and we'll talk about that in a minute, the monosaturated fats, along with the healthy animal-based saturated fats or vegetable-based saturated fats like the avocado fruit, our body knows what to do with them.
Right.
And it can build healthy cell membranes.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe what we're saying is a half-truth here. Again, tying it back to the research, bad diet and depression go together.
It's part of the reason because saturated fat includes trans fats, in a sense, don't they? I mean, the whole spectrum, if you just say saturated fats, well, trans fat is a saturated fat.
Trans fat is a saturated fat, but not all saturated fats are trans fats.
That's my point.
That's what I'm saying. And when they skew that, I think that's where people get scared. And the next thing you know, you see people eating egg whites and throwing out the yolk, which is really potentially the healthiest part.
And the other thing that's confusing, too, is that there's a lot of saturated fat that would be in an animal that may be unhealthy that people are eating. So if you have these factory farm animals and then you're getting the meat from that, there's saturated fat in there, and that saturated fat is skewed to a more
poly, because those animals have been eating soy and corn and these PUFA-type fats. We've kind of talked about this a lot, but it's really, really important.
Yeah, so the saturated fat will have more of the undesirable omega-6s and 9s that we need, but we don't need them in large quantities.
Not in those kind of quantities, folks. Right. That's why when people kind of roll their eyes and you say, oh, I eat grass-fed beef if I choose to eat it, or wild-caught fish, it really is important, because when animals are eating what their natural diet is, then the tissue of the animal produces the right forms of fat, the ones that we so desperately need, the omega-3s. So that's why it's so important.
This reminds me, I had an uncle, and he's passed away since, but maybe about 10 years ago, I went out to see him. He was in Colorado in the mountains, 8,400 feet, beautiful, beautiful cabin with horses and stuff. And he had a couple of ponds. He had one pond up high and one pond down low, and he was showing me the fish. I says, let's eat some salmon. So I was going to put a pole in the water. He says, no, not that pond. He says, I feed these. These are the ones I sell to the farmers. He says, these, I feed them soy.
Oh,
and he didn't really
knew.
And he knew because of the taste. He says, I go to that pond, and that's where I get my fish, because they taste better. No, we had no discussion about the fats and things like that, because I had no knowledge of that.
I have not seen any fish, swimming down a soy farm. I mean, so I don't know.
And they're going to, of course, eat something if it's there, and there's nothing else. But if they're eating their natural food, which for trout, and this happened to be trout, of course they're eating bugs and they're eating other fish. And
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not so sure. Fish are eating those little, just like we talk about a chicken is not a vegetarian, it's a carnivore.
Well, I see these fish in the Amazon that jump up out of the water, and they get the bugs. They're not getting the leaves.
Mm-hmm. Right. We really need to kind of let nature take its course and let these animals do what they do so well. But we want to get back to this and the good diet and depression risk. There is a tie.
Well, let me read this part. It says, bad diet and depression risk. Of all the cases, the individuals who have higher intake of trans fat displayed up to 48% higher risk of depression when compared to individuals that don't eat. And at the same time, good diet and depression risk, the researchers have also analyzed the influence of polyunsaturated fat as well as olive oil on the incidence of depression. They found out that these types of healthy fats together with olive oil are associated with the reduced risk of the depression. So there you have the contrast between the two, telling you eat more of this, it's bad, you eat less of this, it's good, and you eat more of the good stuff, it's very good, and you eat less of the good stuff, and that's bad. That's exactly what they're saying here.
And this particular study tied in the fact that both depression and cardiovascular disease are affected in a similar way by diet. Again, building blocks of the cells. Folks, whether or not you decide to eat a small amount of carbohydrates or a lot, the truth remains they're not an essential nutrient like proteins and fats. We use proteins as building blocks. We break them down into amino acids and we use them to rebuild and restore our bodies. And we use fats as building blocks for structure and the cell membranes and so forth, and for keeping inflammation down. So I don't know if they can see this, but here's
this really
a nice little infographic done by
piece of chocolate here.
Yeah,
and it says
10
stress.
foods that beat the blues. Chocolate is good for stress, and anxiety, salmon.
Salmon. This is green tea here if you're angry. Here it is.
Cranky, some fruits.
Actually, berries.
Yeah,
which
berries.
Is, and then if you're sad, you can eat some cereal, but that one I wouldn't recommend. The same with a few of these. Sluggish. I think if you eat bread, you're going to be more sluggish in a sense. I don't know what they have on
They
here.
have they have unsettled PMS, the egg.
Right here, yeah. And then you
Eat an
have-
orange if you're feeling ornery.
And this looks like a little soup of some kind. Yeah, so there's a different food. It's
But we've seen this. We've seen this over and over again, that when we start to take a look at the foods have the vital constituents that our body uses to make healthy cells, and the healthy cells produce healthy hormones like neurotransmitters that help to wipe out depression and these kind of things.
The study has been carried out on a population having a low average intake of trans fat, seeing as it made up only 0.4% of total energy consumed by volunteers. In spite of this, the researchers found an increase in the risk of depression of almost 50%. In countries like the U.S., the amount of energy derived from these types of food is 2.5%.
Well, what we're seeing is when you're eating fast foods, you're automatically eating trans fats. And as I mentioned, a trans fat creates a plastic cell membrane.
Right.
Good stuff can't get in, bad stuff can't get out.
So it's a double whammy.
Yeah, and especially if you're not taking something like Primal Edge, which creates the zeta potential between the cell membranes, which keeps them repelled,
Right.
so they're not rouleau and stacking and interfering with oxygen exchange. We need to have good membranes. Remember our doctor, who we actually cited, and she's pretty well known, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she's the one that realized her husband in his late 50s was getting dementia.
And
She's
doing the
actually from
coconut
just
oil.
around the corner.
Yeah, she is from Sarasota, I think.
So she started researching what the drug companies were doing. This is what she did. She researched she's a medical doctor, what the drug companies are doing to restore brain function. And what she found is the research is focused around saturated fats, such as coconut oil. She began feeding her husband coconut oil 3 or 4 tablespoons a day, and reversed his cognition decline.
Yeah, and the drug companies are really the ones that are educating our physicians, when they come into the office.
But they're not telling them about coconut oil, folks, and
that's
she
right,
had to go into PubMed to find it. They were trying to modify it so they could patent it, but you know what? The answer is in nature, so just go find it. But we got to take a break.
Yeah, and you can find this information, of course, on our newsletter, which a new one's coming out next week, so please check that out for us right now. We'll be right back.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
Oh, sorry, I was reading. Welcome back, everyone. Let's continue our talk on fats. So as we were just discussing, we were talking about how, fats are crucial to making good cell membranes. And guys, if you don't keep the cell healthy, you're not going to be healthy.
It may seem like we spend a lot of time talking about fat this, fat that, and the reason for this is just the essential ingredient that's missing. We've been demonizing these things for the last 50 years, and I still find people looking for low fat this, low fat that. It's the right fat that counts, and that's what we want to hammer into you, that you're picking the right fat, then you'll be okay.
The thing about it is, folks, is that it's crucial that we understand how we handle these fats. This doesn't mean that we're, suggesting that you go out and eat a bunch of fried food and this kind of a thing. And if you do accidentally eat some fried food, make sure you have some vitamin E on hand so you can fight the free radicals, because you have just given yourself an incredible dose of free radicals. Yeah,
because in the restaurants, they're going to be using soy oil, they're using the rapeseed oil, which is canola, or they're going to be using peanut oil. Nobody that I know of, or very few, and if you know a place that's using lard, send me a message on that, because that's the place I want to visit.
Right, because lard is actually a natural fat, not man-made. So let's kind of go over this article, and let's dissect this one a little bit, because really it's interesting. Yes. MUFAs, okay, remember again, a MUFA is a monosaturated, unsaturated fatty acid. It's like olive oil. And this article talks about, are the good MUFAs in olive oil not so good after all? Should you rather be eating saturated fatty acids all day? So this may not be what you have thought, but when you read the headlines of today's Superversity article, how on earth is that possible? It's not that far off from what many of us may have thought. And this is based on the latest study from the top Institute Food and Nutrition at the Wageningen University in the Netherlands. Did I say it wrong?
Well,
how do you say it?
Wageningen.
Okay, well, I would have never known that, not being of that part of the world.
That's right,
but
from Holland.
That's okay. Over there, what we found out from what this article states says that the person was not surprised to hear that the gene expression changes that scientists revealed, or we should rather say they confirmed, was that a high-fat, a high-fat challenge in the course of which 18 lean and 18 obese male subjects between 50 and 70, okay, in our age range, who were non-smoking, normal glycogenic, they had normal blood sugar, and not diagnosed with any long-term medical conditions, consumed milkshakes with 95 grams of fat, and these milkshakes were either high in saturated fatty acids, that might be like coconut oil, or in monosaturated fatty acids, that would be
like
olive oil. And what came back was they collected blood samples before and 4 hours after the shake consumption.
Right.
And the subjects were randomly assigned to a treatment order and a 1-week washout period. And, on the days prior to each study day, the subjects consumed a standardized low-fat evening meal, were refrained from alcohol or strenuous activity, and were not allowed to eat or drink anything except water after 8 p.m. And, this goes on, but what we really saw was they compared, the saturated fatty acid shake was using palm oil, which is very similar to coconut oil.
Yes.
And what were the most important results of the study? As you may have read in between the lines, the previous study compared the monosaturated fatty acids with the PUFA shakes, which we call the nut oils that everyone uses. But the results, however, were not much different from the ones that we observed in the study at Haan. The monosaturated fats and the PUFA challenge compared to the saturated fatty acid challenge induced higher changes in expression of inflammation genes. So, folks, what we're saying is the monosaturated fatty acids, the olive oil, produced a higher inflammatory marker.
I know this may be a surprise to a lot of people.
I think this is a little bit of a surprise, particularly those of us that have always kind of banked on perhaps the Mediterranean diet. Now, does that mean that olive oil and these oils are not, excellent oils to have in our diet? But again, it's about the ratio and how does our body handle it.
Well, I was listening to a podcast, and this was from Harvard, and they're doing a whole series on ancient people at different stages and what their diet was. And of course, we started out when about 3-4 million years ago, where we're just starting to eat meat. And then the switch to maybe 1 million or maybe 50, 60,000 years ago when we started cooking our food, and the switch there. Many people believe that if you're eating it raw, it's a better source, but it depends what it is. Now, our first line of defense is our small intestines. And there is where...
Well, actually, it's our stomach.
Well, it's our stomach first, but then once it gets out of the stomach, now we're starting to process the food a little bit better, and we have the hydrochloric acid in the small intestines.
No. Hydrochloric acid's in the stomach. There's no hydrochloric acid in the small intestine.
Okay. So
but what you're saying is...
Those are the natural ingredients that's in those small intestines to break down the fats and the protein. The next one, the colon, the large intestines, is where we break down the material for the carbohydrates. So you have one defense there, so the first thing that always gets digested, is my point, is the protein and the fats. Everything else is sitting in there until that's done, and then it goes to the large colon, and this is where all your natural enzymes are to break down the plant food.
You got it shifted one degree. I'm just telling you this because I know this from food enzyme, but you've got the process right. But where it's happening is off. And you're exactly right. And the protein and so forth is broken down in the stomach with the hydrochloric acid, and then we use our bile to emulsify the fats. We absorb it. And carbohydrate and
the last thing that
and
gets
dairy
digested.
are often the things that get clogged up in the small intestine. Large intestine is where absorption of fluids are balanced. But you are so right. I mean, we've got to make sure we get this digestion right.
Right. So eating your protein first and fat makes more sense, and then the carbohydrates, because everything is already starting to process through. But if you start eating those carbohydrates first, it gets clogged up.
And what do we do here in the United States?
You eat cereal.
Or even
fruit.
in a restaurant, we're serving the salad and bread, the carbs, and we have some French friends, and when they have it served for dinner, they serve
the salad last.
They serve the main dish, correct, and then the salad comes as a roughage to push it along. I really think we need to pay attention to how we, combine our foods. I think it's really critical. But just to go back, in both groups, the saturated fatty acid decreased the expression of cholesterol biosynthesis and the uptake of genes and increased cholesterol effects. But the MUFA increased inflammatory genes. So blah, blah, blah. This is a kind of in-depth article, but what we wanted you to see is that we're finding more and more that the saturated fat is not implicated in inflammation and is not implicated in poor gene expression.
Yeah, and it's actually gets absorbed a little bit faster. Those oils that come from plants are going to be absorbed not quite as fast as the ones from animals, and that's just a fact that we have to get across because everybody is putting down meat and don't eat red meat, don't eat this meat. But I was telling the guys at the jiu-jitsu the other day, that pig fat is probably the most healthiest fat for doing anything, adding it on, and butter too. If you can, if you can digest butter, some people have problems with that. Certainly, one of the worst things you can do is fried food, even in good oil.
Because we're damaging the oils.
Because we're damaging the oils, and they get rancid, so you have to change them often. We'll be right back, folks. We have another segment coming up, so please stick around. The number here still is 877-927-6648. Please pick up our Primal Edge. Take a look at our newsletter, see if it's something you want to get into. Only $5 a month. You get 2 fabulous issues every month on the first and third Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV. But if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse, next on TFNN.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Nico and Paige here, last segment, and we've been talking about inflammatory things with the oils and that, which is sometimes very confusing, I think. And
maybe it's a combination of the oils along with other inflammatory GM foods, genetically modified foods.
Yeah, that's the article we're talking about. The study reveals significant inflammatory response to GM foods. So not only is the food ingested maybe or screwed with somehow, putting something else in the food, it's already inflammatory to begin with, probably, because most of the time they do this with carbohydrates.
And this is a very interesting article, as Dr. Mercola outlines the serious hurdles faced by these independent scientific researchers who are trying desperately to get the word out and educate us of the dangers of genetically modified foods. These independent researchers face a lot of hurdles. One particular researcher, Dr. Carmen, is no stranger to the many challenges that it entails, and the biotechnology industry has devised rather clever and sophisticated control systems that largely prevent independent researchers from telling us the truth about what's really going on, folks, with these seeds and ultimately the genetically modified foods.
There's a lot of
produce.
propaganda among scientists, too, about how the GMO situation is really helping us create more food, and otherwise, if we don't do this, that we're going to be starving. And in some cases, I think, I know that in Holland, they've been messing with tulips for hundreds of years and perfecting how to
hybridizing them and so forth.
Making them different and certain colors and things like that. And of course, we do this with food too. We're not talking about that type of gene splicing. We're more talking about putting other ingredients in those things and changing how that food actually reacts with us.
Right.
So we start out most of the time with an inflammatory food anyway, like corn or wheat or things, and then they put something else in there, like a pesticide or something that is allergic to insects to make them not reproduce, that type of thing. But we still do not know the effect that will have on us. Maybe it's making us sterile. Maybe it's making us crazy. Maybe it's making us more violent, but for sure it's making us more inflammatory and more sick.
And these maybes is because of these barriers to information that are being created by these biotech companies.
Exactly.
This Dr. Carmen was discussing the fact that truly anyone that does this kind of research really has to be close to sainthood, because when they reveal negative findings, or figuratively speaking, they become tarred and feathered. You know, they really are made examples. Many times they lose their posts at prestigious universities because of the power that these multinational corporations yield to make sure that they don't want to know. And it was very interesting about if a farmer wants to buy seeds to plant in his field, a farmer has to sign a technology user agreement, which means he is not allowed to do any research on those seeds and is not allowed to give them to anyone else to do research on them.
These seeds are not in other words, they will not give you seeds so you can plant them. Over
100,000 farmers in India have committed suicide because their way of life has been changed.
Because just think of this, folks. You know, we used to plant seeds, and that plant would give you more seeds so you could replant the next year.
That's the natural way of nature.
Right. So what the company does, especially Monsanto, is takes that seed, makes it sterile for the next generation.
So you have to repurchase the seeds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is our monetary system saying, hey, you can't have anything free. You're going to do all this work, but it's still not enough. You're going to have to buy it again year after year after year.
I think it's important for us to understand that industry reports about safety cannot be trusted, and we need to support these independent researchers who are bringing us vital information about these foods, and we need to support independent news like we are providing, where we're trying to share this information so that you can live longer, stronger, healthier, wealthier.
Eat real food, eat real animals, eat real plants. If it looks like it started out as what you know it is, then it's probably good for you. And if it's not, it's not good. And also research what is behind the food.
So our show is good for you. So we hope we see you on the next segment.
Thanks for sticking around, folks. We'll
Have a super day.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.